How you doing? So these are my top 5 potential buffs in the future that could be very powerful with synergies. I want to mention could, not going to, because we now know Guillotine got a buff and her buff is not good. Let's just say that's putting it mildly. I say it's terrible, okay? It's really terrible. So don't expect these buffs to get better because they really messed up with Guillotine's buff. I just can't imagine that, if Guillotine got the same treatment as Thor Ragnarok buff. Thor Ragnarok now is better without synergies post buff than he is with synergies pre buff. Think about that. Thor Ragnarok buff is better now than Thor Ragnarok pre buff with synergies. Imagine if Guillotine was like that when it comes to her post buff. How powerful she would be. I really think Guillotine could have been really could be the most powerful best buff ever by Kabam, but somehow they messed it up. I mean, couldn't be the most powerful buff in MCOC, even better than Diablo, but somehow they messed up Guillotine's buff. It's definitely disappointing. What can I say? Pretty disappointing because she was actually my number one potential buff. Not before knowing that Guillotine was gonna get a buff, I said this Guillotine was number one. That I think that with synergies that she was gonna be she'd really be so OP. With synergies if Guillotine had a buff, and somehow Kabam messed it up. Okay, to be fair, she would have been number two. I didn't add Wolverine in the mix because if Wolverine gets a buff, he'll be broken. It's kind of like you have a choice when it comes to Wolverine. Either Wolverine gets a buff and they'll probably never have a 6-star Wolverine, or he doesn't get a buff and there'll probably be a 6-star Wolverine in the future. Probably not for a while, but most likely there will be if he doesn't get a buff. So let's just think about what buff they could do. Just think about if Wolverine had this with him. Okay? So if he had something like as a buff with Wolverine, had something about with Wolverine X. So every time Berserker Rage effects, he gains massive attack bonus. And also if he gets struck, he gains more attack bonus. He's immune to all stun effects and all attacks become unblockable. Imagine how OP Wolverine would be when including... I didn't even mention about this because I think that would be just close, pretty much broken for sure. 100% chance when struck to gain a regeneration passive healing. 100% of the hit damage taken over 5 seconds. I don't know if you want I include that too, but wow, if that was included, wow, that would be so insane when considering how much healing Wolverine already has. So I think it's kind of like a choice. Either Wolverine gets a buff, they're probably never going to be a 6-star Wolverine because he'll be broken for sure, or he doesn't get a buff and there'll be a 6-star Wolverine in the future. Who knows? But probably not in a while. With the Horseman synergy, this guy is just so OP. He's already OP with Horseman synergy. Imagine if he gets a buff. Holy crap. How powerful would he be? So here are my top 5 potential buffs in the future. If they just get a buff, how powerful they would be. So let's look at it. Unstoppable Colossus. Unstoppable Colossus, he looks like he needs an overhaul or a moderate buff because he doesn't have much utilities. He doesn't have a special attack 1, a special attack 2, but he does have a really powerful synergy with Red Guardian. So personal fury buffs gain an additional flat 10% chance to trigger and last 200% longer. Additionally, landing a heavy attack pauses all personal fury buffs until another is gained. So imagine how powerful Unstoppable Colossus would be if he ever gets a buff, because he's already pretty decent with the Guardian Synergy. Just think about uh, Colossus. Imagine Colossus if he gain an unstoppable buff every time he triggers a special attack for 4 seconds, right? How long is it? Yeah, for 4 seconds. Imagine if Colossus gains a 4-second unstoppable buff every time he throws a special attack. How OP Colossus would be. He would no doubt be better than Red Magnetos for sure. Better than Kitty Pryde, that I don't know, but for sure be better than Red Magneto. He'd just be unstoppable Colossus mutant. Put it that way. Just imagine, that's how unstoppable Colossus buff would be, how OP he would be. I don't doubt it he's gonna get a buff because he is like a trophy champion, so who knows. But I would really like him to get a buff, how especially with the Red Guardian synergy, how powerful he would be. So let's talk about so this is number 5. So let's look at number 4. Abomination. Abomination, he definitely needs an overhaul. He does not just a moderate buff. He just, because he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a special attack 1, 2, or 3. He's probably because he's an old champion for sure. One of the first champions that were made. So if he gets an overhaul buff, wow, how powerful he could be. Let's just say, even like a moderate buff somehow, he could be really powerful because he has a really powerful synergy with, again, Red Guardian. All attacks have a 50% chance to inflict a poison, dealing 70% of modified attack over 10 seconds. So even that, with the Red Guardian synergy, he's already pretty powerful. But imagine if he gets a buff, because he does look like he needs an overhaul. So he's number 4 in this list. Okay. I just want to mention, depending on the kind of buffs these champions are, any of the top 5 could easily be number 1 and could be the best champion in the game with synergies. Just pointing that out. So let's look at number 3 in this list. So number 3, come on. There you go. So, number 3 in this list, Hela. So, Hela, she's really powerful with Odin synergy. If she just get a tune-up buff, she'll be pretty powerful. So there's about three things they could do to Hela to make her really powerful. 3 simple tune-up buffs they could do. So let's look at it. So, heavy attack is probably the most important one. So while charging a heavy attack, gain an unstoppable buff with a cooldown of 10 seconds, similar to like Red Magneto. Imagine how powerful Hela would be if she just gained an unstoppable buff for her heavy attack. That will make her so much easier to play with, and that'll make her really really powerful and really unstoppable. And then that's number 1. Number 2, this special attack 1 is really useless, especially with Odin synergy. So you can certainly keep that, but perhaps instead of that, they can just say Hela gains 100 spirit charges, 100 spirits every time she throw in a special one. This will make Hela easier to keep her spirits if she just gains spirits every time she throws a special one. Another thing they could do when it comes to special attack 3, she has a max damage at 5. If it was at 7, first of all, if they didn't have the max damage cap at 5, or there's no max damage cap, it'll literally be broken with the Odin synergy. So I think reasonable max damage at 7, instead of 5, because this attack deals bonus physical damage up to 7% of the target missing health based on the number of Fury buff active on Hela. So I think reasonable max damage cap at 7 instead of 5 is fairly reasonable, I think. So she's number 3 on this list. So I think Hela could be really powerful if she just got a tune-up buff with the Odin synergy. So let's go with number 2. Somehow, there you go. Champions. Who's number 2? Storm. Storm with Horseman synergy is really powerful. Imagine if Storm got a buff. And she just needs a tune-up buff, if I think, for her to be powerful. And really, that's all she needs. So there's think about what could they have done for her. You know what I don't get when it comes to Storm is that she only reduces potency of shock debuffs by up to 60%. She gains her power from shock. So why is it only 60%? That should be 100%. Okay, I mean, say 90%, but at least 90%, but it should be 100%. Okay, and if she gains something similar to like Storm Pyramid X when it comes to like gaining prowess, let's see, where's prowess? Storm Pyramid X. Because Storm Pyramid X, she gains prowess, right? Let's see, where is it at? Where's prowess? So it doesn't have to be like Storm Pyramid X prowess, because that would be too OP. But imagine she gains like a max of 3 prowess, increasing her damage by 40%. Just added 3 prowess to her. Max damage 3 prowess, and each of them increasing her damage by 40%. How OP Storm X would be, especially with the Horseman synergy. So another one they could do is special attacks. 60% chance to shock your opponent, dealing 3,593 arc damage, or X amount of damage. That should be 100% chance to shock opponent. If not, that I'm okay fine with 60% chance, but all special attacks instead should be like 100% chance to stun opponent. If that was 100% chance to stun opponent on a special attacks, or special attacks have a 100% chance to shock opponent, if it was both, wow, how OP she would be. But either just one of them, I think she'd be pretty powerful. So those 3 things. So passive, she should be at least 90% reduce potency from shock, but it should be 100%. And then what else? She gain like a prowess similar to Storm Pyramid X. Max of 3 only, because 12 would be way too OP. Increasing her attack by 40% for each prowess special attack. And then either of the special attacks gain 100% chance to stun, or special attacks has 100% chance to shock your opponent. So I think 3 things they could have done to improve Storm, to make her really OP with the Horseman synergy. How OP she would be if she gets a buff in the future. So number 1 in this list, I actually thought this champion would have been number 1, even better than Guillotine. Probably not as good as Wolverine buff, but better than Guillotine. I just thought I didn't want to be biased, so I didn't what do you call this? I didn't put him at number 1. I put him at number 2 instead. But since Guillotine we now know got a buff, he moved to the number 1 spot, and that is, can you guess? Dun 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 dun. Drum roll, drum roll. It's a mutant. Not surprising, huh? Cable. Seriously, Cable has so much potential if he gets a buff. I mean, Cable by himself is not good, but with the Horseman synergy, he's really powerful. Really, really powerful. So let's just see if he gets a tune-up buff. What can they do to get a tune-up buff? So for special attack 1, it's really almost useless, because he does get an unblockable, but only if you have a True Strike buff. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. It would be really nice if it was just special attack 1 is just unblockable, period. But then defense wise, it would suck, because that would be like nearly impossible to dodge. But let's just think about what they could have done to special attack 1. But let's say special attack 1, he can drain 1 bar of power on the opponent. for a special attack 1. Think about it, how powerful, that alone, how powerful Cable would be, because he gains his power, he gains his damage from degeneration depending on the opponent's power level. So imagine if Cable was able to, power drain 1 bar of power with the special attack 1. How powerful he would be, just that alone. How powerful he would be. And then, like I mentioned, he doesn't hit very hard without synergies. So imagine if he gains a fury attack. Fury attack. Like all attacks gain you know, similar to, like, I don't have it here, but similar to what Juggernaut has, like let's say a 12%, all attacks has a 12% chance to gain a fury buff, increasing attack by 50%. So if Cable had that in his kit, he would that would definitely help his attack, because without the Horseman synergy, he's not that good. So, or the Apocalypse synergy to be more precise, he's not that good. But if he gains that, you know, that a Fury like buff, increasing his attack by 50%, he would be pretty strong. He would hit like a truck, especially with the Horseman synergy. So that's number 2. And number 3, for special attack 2, I don't know why it's 90% chance. It should be 100% chance to inflict a concussion debuff. I'm not sure why. Reducing ability accuracy by 90% for 11 seconds. So that also doesn't make sense. It should just be this attack has a 100% chance to inflict a concussion debuff and reducing ability accuracy by 100% for 11 seconds. I think 11 seconds is a little short. It'd be really nice if it was like 14 seconds so he can pretty much, like cycle keep throwing his SP2 and then keep it at 100% reduced ability accuracy for the whole fight, but perhaps that might be make him too OP. But I really think they could have done is just instead of 90% chance, it should be 100% chance to inflict a concussion debuff and reducing ability accuracy by 100% for 11 seconds. 14 seconds would be nice, but maybe too OP, I think. So those 3, I think I said 3 or 4, if you want to call it 4 buffs they could do to Cable to make him really OP. But really, I think just 2 things they could have done. Give him a Fury buff. It increases base attack by 50%. That will help a lot, especially in the special attack 1. If he was able to drain power from opponent, drain 1 bar of power on the opponent for every time he throws a special attack 1, this will make him really powerful. Just those 2 alone could make Cable really OP. To make him pretty much nearly broken, like Fury buffs refresh every time he throws a heavy attack. Imagine how broken he would be if that was the case, right? Fury attack gets refreshed for every time he throws a heavy attack. Wow, imagine how Cable would be, how broken he'll be. He'll be the highest damage dealing in the game by a mile. It won't even be close. If he can gain a 50% attack for every Fury he gets, and then he could stack obviously, and then he could refresh it every time he throws a heavy attack. Wow, he would be so OP. So these are my top 5 potential buffs in the future that could be really powerful with synergies. So those are my thoughts. What do you guys think about these champions, and who do you think is going to be powerful potential buffs in the future that are going to be really powerful with synergies or even without synergy as well? Those are my thoughts, guys. What do you think? Thank you.